Why did Ron leave his work at the Ministry of Magic?
What an idiot.
Did Hermione keep on using a time turner?
She needs to sort out her priorities.
And how did Harry prove to be a better person than his father?
I'm the chosen one.
Let's see. Ron got drunk at his wedding. Yeah, that sounds shocking. We'll get to that a bit later, because to better understand his motivation, we need to know what he did right after the war. The Harry Potter fandom suggests that Ron never finished his final year of Hogwarts. I mean, did you really expect Ron to go back to school after hunting for Horcruxes?
Now I can relax!
No, he certainly didn't. And instead, he moved on to become an Auror, along with Harry. J.K. Rowling confirmed the fan theories and revealed that right there, Ron helped revolutionize the Ministry's Auror department. And yet, he didn't stay there for long. After 2 years of being an Auror, Ron left the Ministry and joined his brother George at Weasley's Wizard Wheezes. Funnily enough, the fandom suggested that Ron's decision to quit the Ministry was ridiculed by the infamous journalist Rita Skeeter. She wrote a whole article about Ron being tired of living in Harry's shadow and even suffering from a mental illness.
That's insulting!
Well, her words are certainly not something to take as gospel. When it comes to his personal life, all went well, more or less. Rowling once hinted that Ron's wedding day was quite stressful for him. After all, both of them were still quite young. The Harry Potter fandom suggests that he got pretty drunk and had little memory of the ceremony itself.
Well, yeah, a bit.
But Ron eventually got over his confusion and settled down with his wife and 2 kids. He became a godfather to Harry's eldest son and even got a Muggle driver's license at some point. Although we wouldn't be surprised if he had to use a Confundus charm on the driving instructor to get it. Oh, that's so Ron. George without Fred. We're sure that, despite all his troubles, he still manages his practical joke shop along with Ron. It's logical to assume that after the death of his twin, George struggled to keep the shop going. And he probably never fully overcame the tragedy. After all, the brothers were so close. In fact, as J.K. Rowling revealed, he never even managed to conjure a Patronus again after Fred's death. So George was probably really glad when his younger brother started helping him.
Fred, I've been thinking exactly the same thing.
He also has his beloved woman by his side. According to the fandom, George married his former classmate and Quidditch teammate, Angelina Johnson. They have 2 kids together who are probably thrilled to have a dad who creates magical jokes for a living. Luna followed her heart. She has always been an unusual young lady, so it's no wonder that she chose a unique occupation. Rowling shared with the fans that after finishing school, Luna traveled the world and discovered new kinds of magical creatures. So these days, we are not surprised that our Luna became a famous wizarding naturalist.
I suspect Nargles are behind it.
She ended up knowing a great deal about magical creatures' behavior. Alas, she never did find a crumple-horned Snorkack and had, finally, to accept that her father might have made that one up, J.K. Rowling shared. The writer also said that while discovering and classifying the new species, Luna got to find her soulmate, Rolf Scamander. The guy is none other than the grandson of Newt Scamander himself. Yep, the author of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
I can see them too.
The fandom suggests that at their wedding ceremony, Luna wore a wedding dress decorated with rainbows and spangles and a tiara of silver unicorn horns. Or at least that's what Rita Skeeter reported about the event in her gossip column in the Daily Prophet. And she also added that Luna's new husband was looking at her with a shocked expression. Well, even if it's true, we're sure that she looked gorgeous, and we never expected her to wear a traditional dress anyway. Malfoy and his new ways. What happened to him in the final parts of the series changed Draco forever. He saw how his parents suffered from their allegiance to Voldemort. He witnessed frightening things and experienced despair. And, as Rowling revealed, it all made him realize that being a pure-blooded wizard isn't such a big deal. The writer also said that Draco married a witch named Astoria Greengrass. The fandom suggests that she also came from a pure-blooded family and had experiences similar to Draco's during the war. According to Rowling, together they have a son and raise him as a more tolerant and benevolent person than Malfoy was as a kid. Since he inherited his family's large wealth, Draco never has to work. So we can assume that he spends his days studying alchemical manuscripts kept at the Malfoy Manor and, according to the fandom, wishing for something more profound than wealth.
If I didn't know better, Draco, I'd say you were scared.
Rowling also shared that he never became friends with Harry and the gang, but we didn't really expect him to after everything that had happened. Neville as a respected professor. Rowling shared that immediately after the war, he briefly worked as an Auror, but just like Ron, he didn't remain there for long. The fandom suggests that Neville soon became a Hogwarts professor when the new headmaster, Minerva McGonagall, asked him to. So he ended up working at the herbology department under the guidance of Pomona Sprout.
Longbottom's been neglecting his earmuffs.
According to the fandom, Professor Longbottom still keeps his Dumbledore's army coin as a keepsake, and his students are always impressed by it as it became a badge of honor after the war. At some point, Neville married the former Dumbledore's army member, Hannah Abbott. If you read the books, you probably remember that she was a Hufflepuff prefect. The fandom suggests that they live at the Leaky Cauldron, where she is a landlady. And Rowling also said that they never had kids, although Neville did become a godfather to Harry's second child. The fandom also suggested that Rita Skeeter once wrote in her infamous gossip column that he and his wife enjoy a bit more fire whiskey than they should.
Why is it always me?
But we know what a liar she is, so take her gossip with a huge grain of salt. Hermione changing the world. First of all, she returned to Hogwarts to take her final year and do her newts. That's what Rowling said, and to be honest, we're not surprised. But before getting back to her studies, there was something important Hermione had to do. According to the fandom, she went to find her parents in Australia and restored their memories. I'm sure they had a happy reunion. Rowling says that after finishing school, she went to work at the Ministry. The book author also revealed that Hermione didn't become an Auror but joined the Department for the Regulation and Control of Magical Creatures. This totally makes sense, as it allowed her to continue her mission of improving the lives of house elves and other underprivileged creatures. Then, as Rowling shared, Hermione went on to work at the Department of Magical Law Enforcement, where she did everything she could to eradicate the oppressive pro-pureblood laws. The peak of her career at the Ministry came when she became the Minister of Magic. The fandom suggests that in between all of those duties, Hermione still found the time to translate the Tales of Beedle the Bard, which, as you might remember, was written in runes. How did she manage all of this and raise 2 kids with Ron?
Will you stop eating?
I hope that she doesn't secretly use a time turner again.
That's totally barbaric.
Well, she probably doesn't, because all these devices kept at the Ministry were rendered useless during the war, and the remaining one appeared only in The Cursed Child. By the way, if you'd like us to make a video about The Cursed Child, drop us a comment below. Hagrid lived a long life. The fandom suggests that the lovable giant still kept working at Hogwarts. That's not surprising, because he loves the school so much. It is his forever home. According to the fandom, when Harry and Ginny's son Albus started at Hogwarts for the first time, Hagrid invited him to his hut for tea, just like he did to Harry on one of his first days.
I shouldn't have said that.
We can certainly assume that he holds the boy dear to his heart. Rowling revealed that Hagrid never married. He did love Madame Maxime, and she seemed to love him back. But they turn out to be too different to be together. After all, she's a really sophisticated lady.
They drink only single malt whiskey.
And he's, well, Hagrid, a gentle giant with an affection for dangerous magical creatures.
Isn't he beautiful? Oh, bless him, look, he knows his mummy.
But anyway, he has lived a long life, extremely long by Muggle standards, still working in Hogwarts when he was 90 and beyond. Ginny had a devoted career. Do you think that Harry Potter's wife also works at the Ministry, striving to make the wizarding world a better place? Well, no. Ginny had other ambitions.
Shut it!
She's a talented Quidditch player, so she chose the sport as her career. J.K. Rowling revealed that she joined the all-female team Holyhead Harpies and played with them for several years. According to the fandom, she eventually quit her athletic career to take care of her and Harry's 3 kids. But according to the fandom, she never gave up on her favorite sport. Even being a retired athlete, Ginny still devotes much of her time to the sport. First, she became the senior Quidditch correspondent for the Daily Prophet. She then continued her career as a sports editor for the magazine. And later, Ginny also instructed those who pursue the Auror profession to keep body control and taught them techniques that allowed them not to fall off their brooms. So yeah, Ginny is still making her contribution to society, but her husband does even more. Harry proved to be better than his dad.
You're gonna suffer, but you're gonna be happy about it.
Rowling says that, just like Ron, he didn't finish his last year of studies and started working at the Auror department right after the war. Soon enough, Harry became head of the Auror office and then head of the Department of Magical Law Enforcement. J.K. Rowling noted that the trio eventually helped to transform the Ministry and change the wizarding world. And due to all their contributions to the wizarding world, Harry, as well as Ron and Hermione, are all featured on the Chocolate Frog cards. But all these duties don't mean that Harry left Hogwarts for good and never went back. After all, the school remains such a special place to him. First of all, according to Rowling, he ensured that Snape's portrait was hung at the headmaster's office, just like those of all the previous headmasters. And Harry also often comes to the school to give lectures on defense against the dark arts. Well, he certainly has to, because I don't think there is a person in the wizarding world who knows more about the dark arts than he does.
Good.
What's going on in there?
And we should find out what happened to the family Harry grew up with. He never really reconciled with the Dursleys, but they have as good of a relationship as they can. As J.K. Rowling shared, Harry and Dudley are on Christmas card terms and occasionally visit each other. And the book author also shared that there was at least one thing Harry did better than his father. James Potter never made peace with his school rival Severus Snape, while Harry managed to do so with Draco. Good for him, learning from his parents' mistakes. Would you like to learn even more about the Potterverse? Then see how J.K. Rowling resolved all the mysteries behind it. And stay awesome!